Hi crafty friends, and welcome to this 17th entry of the Thoughtful Knitter video journal. My name's Ailey and I'm coming to you from my home in the very north of the Scottish mainland. It's been a wee while, so a great big thank you to anyone who is choosing to spend time with me again after such a long absence, and welcome in to anyone who's new. I hope you find something that interests you and that you connect with. A good place to start would be to let you know that anything I mention today will be linked in the description box down here. You just have to click the bit that says more and you'll get all the information there. There'll also be timestamps for different chapters in case you want to skip to anything, or if you want to stop mid-video and not have to cut me off mid-sentence. I'll also put on the screen where you can find me online. I'm not very active on social media, but I do occasionally post on there, so if you want to connect with me there, these are the details. So it's been a while. Where to start? I think, given that it's been about 9 months since I last recorded, and you could have grown a human in that time. I'm not going to go through everything that I've made. So I think what I'm going to do instead is let you know what I have finished most recently, give you an update on what I was working on in the last episode, what happened to those projects, and talk about what I've got coming up. One of the things I'm really excited to tell you about is that the Curie in Mal will be back again this year, and I've decided to do it for the whole of December, January and February. So the start date will be the 1st of December. I have put some information up on the community tab and I will give you more details later on, but if you're new and want to just get into the knitting, then let's get on with it. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is an older knit. I think I knitted it, I should have looked this up before I started recording. I think it was 3 years ago. And it is the Pit Eulish vest, which is a pattern by Emily K. Williams, and it is from this book here, Perspectives. In fact, I'll be able to tell you when it was because it's whenever this book came out. Yeah, 2020. So yeah, it's coming up for 3 years since I knitted this one. And this is project here. And I knitted it in Julie of Black Girl Yarns Auchen Sport base. She brought out this book along with Emily when she initially introduced that base. She doesn't have it in stock at the moment because there was a mix-up with the mill and they spun it to a DK spec, but I believe it will be back in stock next year in a sport weight. So yeah, I knitted this. It only took less than 2 skeins. I knitted it in the colourway Winter Seas. I'll try and do a wee pan up so you can see. I knitted it a little bit longer than the pattern called for. And yeah, I love it. I kind of forgot I had it for a wee while and didn't wear it for ages, but I refound it just recently, so I thought, oh, I'm gonna wear it. Although I seem to be blending into the background here, there's a bit of a theme going on with my colours as usual. Yeah, so this yarn is, as I said, a sport weight. It is woolen spun. It's a blend of, I'm going to forget this, blue-faced Leceister, Shetland, and Cheviot. And I love this yarn. I'd quite happily knit with it in most of my projects. and I really enjoyed knitting this project. It had an interesting construction, lovely details. Emily makes really good fitting patterns. It is, I think you can maybe see it's not so great in this light, but it's a lace pattern that goes all down the side of the garment, right down to the bottom. I really like working lace with kind of rusticy, fuzzy yarns. So yeah, this is a staple of my wardrobe, and yeah, I can see myself knitting another one in a different colour. I really liked it in the Haar, the original colourway, which is like undyed. I'll show you it here. That's what Julie herself is wearing. It's nice in that colour too, a nice neutral that would go with many things. So yeah, that may happen at some point too. Mine was knit with very little positive ease. I think it was meant to be more positive ease and cropped, but that's not really a look that I enjoy. I think it suits some people, but it doesn't suit me. So this is what I opted for. So let's move on to finished objects. Okay, so last time I was speaking to you, I had felted an old jumper that I didn't ever wear and that was kind of ill-fitting and pilled. And I was never going to be able to pull it out and get the wool back because it was a seamed garment, and I had seamed it too well to be able to rescue the yarn from it. So yeah, I had felted it and had decided that I was going to make it into a hot water bottle cover, which I did. This is it. It's got buttons here at the bottom, and then the bottle goes in there, and the top bit is here where you fill it with water. I finished this and I never used it because it's too good at insulating. It was so thick that there's just not enough heat coming through from the hot water bottle. So it's been lying abandoned ever since the beginning of the year, and my plan is that I'm going to take these buttons off, cut off this bit, make this the same shape on that side, and then continue my blanket stitch to get it round here the whole way around and make it like a seating pad that I can use outside or I can kneel on in the garden. I think I would probably try and add like a waterproof canvas on the back as well. So yeah, that has been sitting in my I'll get round to it at some point basket, along with the sleeves, which are minuscule. Because for these, what I thought I could do is put them around my steering wheel in my car, because I get really cold fingers, not just in the winter but all the time. I think I've got slight Raynaud's. So yeah, I was thinking this could go around my steering wheel, but I have yet to figure out a way to sew it in place or attach it in place, because I'm going to have to obviously cut and get it around the bits of the steering wheel, but how to reattach it has so far eluded me. So yeah, if any of you clever folks out there have got any ideas how I could go about that, I would really appreciate your suggestions. Yeah, so that's what became of this project. It's been sitting in a pile, which the jumper was sitting in a pile not being used anyway, so it's no different. It's just now at felted form rather than jumper form. So that was the first one that I told you about as a work in progress last time. That Oh, actually, before I move on to the other one, when this one turned out to be unsuitable for use, I actually knitted myself a hot water bottle cover. So this is it. It has been very well used. I did it as part of a knit along that Andrew of Albanach Knitter was hosting back at I think it was springtime. And it was a knit along for Gansey motifs. So I worked from the book, oh, I should have brought it out, Di Gilpin's book. I think it's called the Gansey source book or something. I used motifs from that and I just kind of put them in. So this one here with the, what is that called? Anchor. Sorry, please be kind to me. My brain is frazzled. It's been taking a right beating over the last 15 months, 16 months, and I can barely string a sentence together. So if I start wittering on and dithering and just speaking nonsense, please be kind and patient with me. It's not intentional. But anyway, yeah, so the anchor motif here and this part here are have originated from Wick, which is local to me, and these ones here, I can't remember what direction it went in, but then I reversed it for the other one. These, what are these called? They've got a fancy name too, but like say arrows. These are part of the Scottish Fleet motifs. So yeah, this has been really, really well used ever since I finished it. Oh, that's better lighting. You can see it better now. Ever since I finished it, I have used it a lot, and it's great. I really, really love it. I should probably wash it at some point, but wool's great like that. You don't really have to wash it very often. It kind of self-cleans, doesn't it, and repels dirt. So yeah, that's what I got up to after my disaster with the other hot water bottle cover. So now moving on to the other work in progress that I had back in February, and that was my Granny Go Round cardigan. So this basically looks the same as it did back then, except I have sewn in all of the ends, and I think I possibly have slightly more on my sleeves. Maybe I'll pop it on. This is it so far. I abandoned it with kind of elbow length sleeves, basically because I was starting to run out of scrap yarn, and I have enough to finish it, but I didn't want it to become that I was like repeating my colours too often, and I didn't want to force a finish out of it. So I decided to just like finish off all the ends, leave the end here open so that I can work further rounds when I start to replenish my scraps. And I had intended by now to have sewn some buttons on, but I haven't. So yeah, but I have used it whenever I'm cold in the house. I have popped it on, although bare arms, it's not doing its full job yet. But yeah, so that's what's become of my Granny Go Round cardigan, and that is a pattern by Iron Lamb, a crochet pattern. And yeah, I've been using up scraps of Non Superwash wool for it. It is really heavy, it's definitely a chunky project, and it's kind of fulfilling the brief that I had for it, which was something to wear in the house when I'm a bit chilled and don't want to turn the heating up too high. So yeah, that is where this has gotten to. And finally, for finished objects, I thought I would share with you my most recent finished object, and that is a hat project. This was actually a test knit for Hen in a Glen, who has, I think this is her second pattern that she's released. She's got another pattern coming out, I think, next month. And oh my goodness, this was a privilege to taste it. It is called, I told you I can't remember anything. It's called Oofloof Hat, and it's really clever. So it is worked with stranded colour work, but instead of using two separate yarns, what you're doing is you're using your main colour, which in this case, again, I used Julie of Black Girl Yarns Auchen Sport base. So I used that, that's the light grey. And then the contrasting colour is you keep using your main colour and then you add in a strand of floof. So for that I used, I think it was Ito Sensai, I think it's called, in the colour black. And I really love this marled effect. It's really quite subtle, but at the same time it's striking. And I am a bit of a sucker for a chevron and for symmetry, and wait till you see this crown. I'm not doing it justice. It's gorgeous. I'll put a picture in of the crown. Yeah, and it was just really fun to knit because it's something I haven't done before. I haven't worked colour work in that way. It's really clever because you end up with a really warm lining. It's all your mohair is in your floats. You don't have any floats that are your main colour. So you've got like a really lovely warm lining going around your head. I think I'm not bothered by the Auchen Sportway base, but some people probably would find it a little bit rustic. So I think it's a really good way that you could use up a rustic yarn and then soften it up for anyone who's a little bit sensitive to that sort of thing, especially around your forehead, because that's quite often where people find things really, really itchy. So I'm going to pop it on. Oh dear. Need a haircut. Yeah, so it's got a really nice long brim that keeps your ears fine and warm. And yeah, let's see if you can see the crown. I don't know if you could see that, but fingers crossed you did. Yeah, sorry, what I was going to say is, when I first started working it, the first few rows, I'm not going to lie to you, I was getting really frustrated because it was a new way of working colour work. I generally work with two hands when I'm doing stranded colour work, so I have my main colour in my right hand and the contrast colour in my left hand. But with this, because you're using your main colour throughout, you're not swapping hands. So I had to teach myself how to hold them both in the same hand. And at first I was kind of dropping the mohair each time, but it was just, you know how fuzzy yarn is, it like clings to everything, and I was dropping it, trying to lift it up, but it was getting tangled. But then after a few rows, I kind of figured out a technique to hold them both on the one finger and either just work with my main, I held my main colour on the end of my finger and the mohair inside, and I was either flicking, I'm a flicker, so English style knitting, but I always have the yarn in my hand, I don't drop and pick up again. I think that's called throwing, when you, yeah, like my hand is always on the needle as well. Now I've confused myself and distracted myself. Anyway, once I'd figured out how to do that, oh my goodness, it felt like learning how to knit again. The breakthrough was just immense. It's like that high that you get when you're just like, yes, I've learned something new, I've conquered it. So I got so excited I shared it on Instagram as a video. So yeah, I'll pop it in here so that you can see it, how I worked it. But yeah, it was a really fun knit. I think it would be good. I mean, it's a 4-ply and a thick lace weight. So that's coming up to almost like a DK. So it would do in winter, and especially because it's got the mohair in it, it helps to insulate further. Obviously I wouldn't know if it would be suitable in crazy cold winters that people have in other places, but it will certainly do me here in the north of Scotland. So yeah, just thought I would share that one with you. Okay, so let's move on to works in progress. My current work in progress, in all honesty, is not this. I have been working away on Christmas jumpers for my nephews and my niece and my semi-niece. She's the niece of my boyfriend. So I've got 5 jumpers on the go for them. I am getting towards the end of them. I plan to do a separate episode all about that. I had hoped to have it out back in October or something to act as inspiration for anyone who was looking for patterns for little ones, but it didn't happen. So I think I might just record and upload it in December, and that way it's there for anyone who wants it again. I'd imagine you don't have a huge amount of time to knit one ahead of Christmas if it comes out then, if you celebrate Christmas. But yeah, it'll be there for again if you're looking for inspiration for a future year, for something festive. So anyway, the work in progress that I'm going to show you is one that I cast on back in September before I started working on all of these little jumpers. I think I was actually waiting for the wool to come back because I'd ordered it online. So I started this one for myself. So it is the My Dear Sweater by Tanya Barley. I have actually knitted this before for 2 of my nephews. I adapted the pattern because it's an adult only pattern, but I adapted it, used the motifs and made it for them. So at the time I thought, oh, one day I'm going to make one for myself, and I had the yarn sitting. I was waiting for the yarn to come back for my nephews and niece, and just thought, oh well, I'll cast this on and that'll be great. So fingers crossed I might get to work on it once all of theirs are done, and who knows, I might have it done in time for this festive season. If not, it'll do for another one. So I'll just show you. I think I've got the body done. I just decided to work the sleeves to make sure I had the full fit before working the hem, because it can pull things up. I've already worked the neckline. I think it was meant to be worked first. You're meant to cast on here, do your neck band, and then do the yoke. It's worked top down. It's a circular yoke. But what I tend to do is I cast on here and work down, and then I pick up and knit further up. It just gives extra structure around the neck, which is where the garment is hanging, because there are no seams, like no shoulder seams for it to hang on. Yeah, so I'm knitting this in Holst Super Soft in the colourway, the red is Carmine and the kind of creamy colour, off-white colour, is almond, I think. If it's wrong, I'll put it on the screen. I'm holding those double, and yeah, it's working out fine. Again, honest moment, I have been listening to people online for about 6 years, maybe longer, 7 years, talk about, like, rave about whole super soft and how amazing it is. And I know that it blooms. I have done a swatch and it bloomed nicely, but I really don't know what the fuss is about. Other than it being a good price point, I think there are yarns that I would rather work with from the UK that are marginally more expensive but nicer to work with, like the Jameson and Smith cones, because again this comes in a cone, which I think people really like, because you're getting a good deal when you buy the cone rather than the individual balls. But yeah, I mean, I've tried it, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know if I would be rushing to use it again. I have used Holst Coast more recently and I preferred it. I thought it was great. Really liked using it. Yeah, so I can't really tell you much about this because I haven't worked on it recently and I can't remember anything about it. I don't think I have worked any modifications, possibly other than the sleeves. I tend to go my own way when it comes to sleeves because I've just been bitten in the bum that many times. Like, you follow a pattern and it doesn't fit your arm. So I tend to work it out for myself and just work them to my own kind of needs. I probably have redistributed the stitches a little bit. Like, I'll have put more stitches in the front where I need more space for my bust, and I'll have less space in the back. I've done that for quite a while now. It just stops you getting like gapey kind of gathering at the back, and I mean, that's the way that we are anatomically. So yeah, I just do it proportionally. Like, I'll work out what my measurement, half body measurement is from underarm to underarm at the front and at the back, and then I will proportionally distribute my stitches accordingly. So yeah, it is looking really nice. I hope I can get it finished in time, because it will be jolly to wear over the festivities. So yeah, those are my works in progress. Like I said, I will record another episode specifically about the festive knits for the kiddie winks, and I will try and share that as soon as possible. Okay, so I think next I'm going to go on to speak about the make along, the Korean make along, and also what I'm planning for it. So like my schemes and daydreams and future plans. And at the end I'll have a tiny bit of chat. I didn't want to bombard you all at the start because I mean, you might all, either you might not be interested or you might be new and you don't really care where I've been for the last 9 months. So yeah, so I think I'll leave that to the end, and yeah, let's get on with chatting all things currying in. Right, let's chat curry in, Mal. So I really enjoyed this last year. I think if you've been here before, you'll know that winter is not my favourite time of the year, and where I stay, you don't really get any proper winter weather in that you don't get snow. So it is a really dark time of year. There's no reflection of light from snow. It's really dark, it's really windy, it's really miserable, really wet, and it's long, really, really long, because I live quite far north, so it gets dark really early, doesn't get light until quite late. And I struggle. I don't enjoy winter at all. So last year I started a make along called the Korean Mal, And I really, really loved having that focus of being able to see the good in the season and make the most of the really, really long nights to craft, to do things for me rather than to make gifts for other people. It was crafts that fed my soul. So I decided I would bring it back this year, not only for myself, but it was really well received this year, and I really enjoyed seeing all of your Curie in efforts. So first things first, if you are new or not Scottish, you probably don't know what I'm talking about when I say Curie in. So I'll pop a wee definition on the screen, but according to the Dictionary of the Scots Language, there are a couple of definitions, but the one that we are talking about is the verb to curry, which is to nestle or snuggle. So we tend to use it in terms of when it is wintry or dark or horrible outside, you curry in the warmth of the fire with cosy things and yeah, just enjoy that nestling. So yeah, that is the premise. It is going to run from the 1st of December right through until the 29th of February next year. It is a make along, so any craft whatsoever is welcome, even if it's something like, I mean, it's a really busy season, especially in December, so even if you're just doing some festive making, some festive baking, whether it's for Christmas or Diwali or Hanukkah or midwinter, anything. So even something like that would count as an entry. So yeah, any craft is welcome. I am aware that not everybody lives in the Northern Hemisphere, so if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, please, please, please feel welcome to still take part. And just make sure that you are making something that is appropriate to you seasonally. So if you are making, you know, strappy tops out of plant-based fibres, or the only thing you can work on is socks because everything else is too heavy and sweaty, then feel free to take part. Everything will be run over on Instagram, so I will put the hashtags on the screen, but there's going to be prizes for participation and also for finished objects. So for participating, what you have to do is share your photos of your plans or your works in progress with the hashtag CurryInMal2324. And then for your finished objects, it'll be CurryInMalFO 2324. And yeah, you will need to not only have an Instagram account, but have your account set to public. If you have it set to private, that's fine. In that case, you could either send me photos of your entries either via direct message on Instagram, which is my username there is The Thoughtful Knitter. And if you don't have Instagram at all, fear not, you can still take part. You can just email me your entries. So that'll be on the email address, which is thethoughtfulknitter@gmail.com. What else? Works in progress are welcome as long as they're not more than 50% complete at the beginning of December this year. And you can triple, double, dip, whatever, enter as many make-alongs, craft-alongs, whatever, as you want. And yeah, let me double check that there's nothing else I've forgotten to tell you that's important. No, I think that's it. As I said, there's going to be participation prizes. So my plan is to do a monthly participation prize, and also there'll be finished object prizes. So the participation prizes will be drawn at the end of each month, so the end of December, the end of March, no, oh dear, the end of December, the end of January and the end of February. And then the finished objects prizes, they will be drawn at the beginning of March. I had already announced the make along over on Instagram and also on the community tab here, and somebody had pointed out that there is a new pattern coming out from Amy Palco, who's got the Meaningful Stitch podcast, called the Korean Poncho. Now, I had no idea because I am about the furthest from having my finger on the pulse as it is possible to be. But I had a look and oh my goodness, it's lovely. So yeah, if you want to knit that as an entry, you are most welcome. I mean, I hope that Amy would be happy with that, because you know, people are working their pattern. I had also noticed last year that Old Maiden Aunt, Lilith Green of Old Maiden Aunt, she had released a pattern, I think it was last winter, called the Curry in Cowl. And I had thought about making that this year, but since then she has ceased trading, and I can't see that you can get it on Ravelry anymore. I think it was only ever available through her website, and when you click the link on Ravelry, yeah, it you know, just says that the page isn't recognised, so that's a shame. But yeah, knit what you want, crochet what you want, make what you want, sew what you want. Everything is welcome as long as it feeds your soul over the winter months. Yeah, that's all I ask. And yeah, so enough rabbiting on about the, you know, the admin side of things. What am I going to make? So I did have some plans. They're quite fluid. The only things I know I'm definitely planning making is, I'll put a picture in here, a set of cowl and mittens. I think that's right. I haven't done this yet, but I think that's right. Called The Ties That Bind Us, again by Hen in the Glen. No, Hen in a Glen. And this pattern I'm pretty sure is coming out during the make along. I have the pattern already because it was part of a kit that was available at the beginning of the year through Black Isle Yarns, and I plan to make this. I've got the yarn for it, and I think it'll be a really lovely thing to work over the winter season. It was inspired by festivities and that time of year where lots of families come together to celebrate whatever festival they celebrate, and just to spend time together. So I'm definitely planning to make that. I had planned to work an advent kit. Last year I had found a company called, is it Corinne Lapierre or something? I'll put it on the screen. I had been looking, I don't know what I've been looking for, but I discovered that she does an advent sew along, basically. So it's like you end up making an embroidered panel or picture, and it's using felt and embroidery stitches, and you do a different part of it each day, and at the end of December, when you come to Christmas, you have your finished piece. Now, I'm not going to do that this year because I'm not going to be able to commit to working every single day of December, so I think I'll just put that on the back burner for next year. But I would quite like to do something a little bit different from knitting, because I've been chugging out all these gifts for the little ones. So yeah, just to work some different muscles, to be you know, just have us change. I thought I bought this at some point over the year. I was making up an order on Will Warehouse or something, but it's a little embroidery kit, and it's like a wintry foliage. So I think I will sew that up over December. and have it as part of my, in fact it would do for the whole of winter. I might just have it up on the wall as something to get me through the darker months. So yeah, that's my plans. I'm trying not to be over ambitious. Those are my plans at the moment. I might add to them if I manage to meet those goals. And yeah, we'll just take it as we find it. Sometimes you find inspiration halfway through. So last year during the Korean Mall, a couple of people were knitted trousers, and I was really taken by that. I was planning to do that this year. I don't think I'm going to manage to this winter, but maybe next year. Yeah, I do like that idea. Nice cozy trousers for when you're really, really cold. Yeah, so that is all the knitting content and the crafting content. The only last thing to say is, yeah, just to thank you again if you have hung around and not unsubscribed. I know quite a few have, but I totally understand why. I have been missing for at least 9 months, and you probably thought I wasn't coming back. When I last recorded, I told you that I was having some health problems, and they continue. They haven't improved. I have had some treatment. Most of the time has been waiting for treatment. So far the treatments haven't been successful or they've either been unsuccessful. Well, in fact, they've been unsuccessful or partially successful in terms of helping with my migraines, but they have also come with some really nasty side effects. So yeah, I'm still in the midst of dealing with all that. I do have 3 different chronic conditions that none of them are life-threatening, but they are all very debilitating and difficult to treat or manage. So yeah, I have been just lurking in the undergrowth over the year, just getting through each day, and I have been knitting away. At some point I will try and share some of what I've been up to. And yeah, that's about it. Nothing exciting to report. I didn't disappear to do anything overly exciting. Yeah, it's just been, life has happened, and I have just been trying my best to get through it. So yeah, I realise I'm not going to talk about it anymore because frankly, who's interested? I would far rather have this as a place to come where you can leave all your worries behind and just have a bit of a respite from the rest of the world. I know that there is massive suffering going on that far eclipses anything I've been going through, and to moan about it would just be a bit petty, really. So yeah, not looking for sympathy, not looking for advice, I'm just explaining myself a little bit. And yeah, I think that's everything. Hopefully next time I will be able to get myself organised in time to record during the very short daylight hours that we have. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I kind of just hopped on it today because I had a spare moment where I was feeling okay, and it just happened to be at night time. So yeah, I'm going to stop waffling. I'm going to leave you there. I hope you are all well. I hope you take care for the next wee while. And yeah, enjoy your crafting until I see you next time. Bye.